Did you know our specialty is custom ordered upholstery? Get the furniture you want in the fabric and color selection you want. With our free design service, we won't let you make a mistake.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and what we're dealing with here in the Room to Room Weather Center is going to be what we're watching for with that severe weather potential. Bring it over here to the wall real quick. What we're going to be talking about here at 5 o'clock is going to be what little action we've had so far, but the potential that's still there heading into that extended forecast. Again, we're live here in the Room to Room Weather Center, and as we track that first headline, you can see at the top of your screen, strong storms remain possible heading into those evening and overnight hours. Just how high is that potential? We'll take a look at that in more detail. And how long do those rain chances stick around for? Of course, we'll have that answer coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour, and that fantastic weekend outlook. That gives a little bit of a hint on the time frame, but we're going to be enjoying great conditions heading into that extended forecast. So definitely something you're going to want to be excited about as we look at that extended forecast. The first 12, 50% chances around 6. That, of course, lingers into that 9 o'clock hour, but those chances dissipate out overnight. So the potential to see some strong storms, that time frame is dwindling, fortunately, but at least that possibility is still there. So as we take a look on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, what we're looking at right now is a lot of heavy rainfall out there in the Mississippi Delta, there towards Cleveland, Greenwood, and Yazoo City. I mean, you're getting a look right there along the Mississippi River. And if we put that over on our Memphis radar site, we can kind of see where some of that action is starting to pick up there towards northern Arkansas, right here along Pocahontas, there towards the Batesville area and all around the Malden area. That, of course, is progressing a little bit in that eastern fashion. Let's track this out here real quick. And that's just basically going to develop more to the east, but how much of that energy is still there in the region that's been used up there around Memphis, Mark Tree, and Cherry Valley? That's what we're going to be watching for, because some of that activity at least trying to move into North Mississippi. As for what we're seeing right now, again, it's just going to be that moderate rainfall along Shelby, Cleveland, and Clarksdale, and the heaviest portions right there in the middle of it, but even that dissipating out. So this entire cluster of showers, not exactly going to be something that's overly impactful moving forward. We're going to go to another radar site, this one down around Jackson, because a big difference in what we're seeing down in Jackson compared to what we're seeing up here in North Mississippi is more energy, more of that unused energy that is still down around the Jackson area, allowing for some of these storms to increase in strength. Not necessarily severe strength, but at least stronger than what we're getting here in the northern half of the state. So those continuing to progress on through. That one around Yazoo City, at least getting closer to Holmes County, might be impacting some folks there towards Lexington and Kosciuszko here momentarily. So let's get it on this latest scan. Why say that? Let's get it on this latest scan after I get a speed on this real quick. So over towards Lake Providence about an hour ago, now around Yazoo City. So these are a little bit faster than what we were dealing with yesterday, still about 30 to 40 miles an hour. So if we track that leading edge and carry it over in that east-northeast fashion and move there towards Pickens and Kosciuszko, I mean, we're talking, I'm going to take it 40. And move there towards Lexington. You're seeing Valley by 506, Carter 507, Yazoo City 512, Renshaw 514, Eden by about 519, and the Woodlawn area closer to 525. Now that's if it takes a little bit more of a northerly path, but if I cycle this back one more hour, let's see. Yeah, I would say that path not too bad. Might be a little bit more east than the northeast track that we're tracking, but that's the next potential for some strong thunderstorms. Looking at those winds on that storm, I want to track that out here real quick. So let's get it back on the latest scan. And whenever we're populating in a few of these wind speeds, we're still talking about 20 to 30 miles an hour. So that's not close to severe limits, but as we've learned with some of these thunderstorms, what's happening aloft isn't necessarily what's happening at the surface. So we need to take that with a grain of salt and not necessarily look at what's happening in the sky and think that is gospel. Again, those reports at the surface is really what matters in this situation. So if you have any, make sure to let us know on Mississippi Live Weather app or info@msliveweather.com so we can have the latest details on what you guys are getting. Yazoo City, moments away from reaching you guys with some of those stronger wind speeds, but even that's about 20 to 30 miles an hour. Now, I did say that severe weather threats shows minimal hail potential there towards Baylen and Anchorage. If I populate this in, only about half-inch hail is possible. So that moving into Yazoo City as well. So folks down there are definitely going to be wanting to get to where they need to be for the next about an hour or so as that clears on through. Now, Kosciuszko, not too far away from you guys. We are tracking about 50, 60 miles away. So here in the next 30 to 45 minutes, expecting that to move into the Kosciuszko area, central Atala County. So folks over there are going to be dealing with a strong thunderstorm as well. But let's go back over this last hour loop and see how this has progressed. What you're seeing is some of this cluster, what we call a boundary, starting to merge into that cell, and that's what's keeping it going. But how much is left of that boundary before this starts to collapse or at least weaken over the next few scans? That's what remains to be seen. So folks in Kosciuszko might be dealing with a lighter thunderstorm compared to the heavier thunderstorm it is right now. But looking at the entirety of South Mississippi, I mean, that's really the focal point for our severe weather threat tonight, with a lot of the energy still around those areas. And I say energy, look at how much lightning is happening there on that Quitman storm, talking about 900 strikes over that one isolated area. So a little bit of a different story, because if you've not noticed recently, it's not been thundering too much here in North Mississippi. Now, as this clears out, we will be paying attention on the backside of this storm for the potential of more development. And that's what we're going to be paying attention to into those overnight hours, is how much of that actually lingers in that forecast. So if I expand it out right here, you can see the big driver in this forecast is going to be this front that's continuing to extend across eastern Arkansas, more into North Mississippi, and driving our forecast moving forward. Once this front clears, dry and calm beyond that point. Still a few isolated showers, but not like what we're seeing right now. So how much of this batch clears out overnight and makes way for some redevelopment along that line, along the northern half of our viewing area? So that's what we're watching overnight. And again, that potential is still there. It's not very high, but it is still there. Futurecast highlighting that massive showers moving through North Mississippi and giving us a decent amount of rainfall. But as that continues to push east along the state line, some redevelopment can occur. So we're not completely out of the woods just yet there towards northwest Alabama. Some of that activity has happened there already today, but just seen more stronger thunderstorms compared to what we've had here in North Mississippi. Now, heading overnight, you can see some of that development happening right along the state line, and that pushing more into northern Alabama. So that's where our potential remains for some redevelopment behind that massive thunderstorm. So we'll be paying attention to that even into the 6 and 10 o'clock hour this evening before that front fully clears for your Thursday morning and makes way for a much calmer forecast and a much cooler forecast. Tracking that next 24 tomorrow morning, starting out in the low 70s, so still a mild start. But believe me when I say it's going to be much cooler from here for our morning commutes. 10 to 20% chances linger all day long, and that 30% chance there by 6 p.m. So it is going to be a forecast that still sees some scattered showers, but overall we're not going to see any severe weather for our Thursday rain chances. So coming up in the next 60, we'll be tracking more details on those rain chances for your Thursday, but really giving you more details on what to expect for the rest of your Wednesday afternoon and evening with that severe weather potential. So keep it here for the very latest, and we'll track that in more detail. Oh, I clicked off of it. Let me get back on this.
If you're facing a DUI charge, every decision matters. At the law office of Andrew W. Stewart II, we provide a skilled defense to protect your record, rights, and future. Call today or visit drewstewartlaw.com. Your future is worth defending.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, I see a lot of folks in the chat reporting that they're watching from all across North Mississippi, and this is probably a sight that a good amount of you have seen. Just these gloomy skies with mostly cloudy conditions. Melanie and Grenada capturing this, looking out towards the east earlier today, but that's been the extent of our rain chances today and how our skies have looked. Not overly high on that severe weather potential, but the potential is still there into those evening hours. Looking out of Cleveland right now, you can see the dreary conditions we're experiencing with some raindrops there on the lens. That's just some moderate rainfall. So no severe weather embedded within that cluster of showers. Batesville getting a good look at what looks to be a little bit of a shelf cloud right there, but no severe weather expected in Panola County. 75 degrees, dew point still around 72, so the energy is still there. And Addison looking towards Oktibbeha County, that blanket of stratus clouds in the sky. Again, keeping our skies covered, keeping the temperatures from getting too warm, but keeping that potential for some rainfall in the forecast. 75-degree dew points in Addison in Oktibbeha County. Now that's just telling me that there is still a measurable amount of energy in our forecast to allow some of these showers and storms to build up in a little bit of strength. So let's get back on analysis mode here real quick and walk through the very latest in the Room to Room Weather Center. What we're seeing on this latest scan, and these storms are moving about 30 miles an hour, and we're going to track that entire leading edge of those moderate showers. So bear with me while I draw this extended line, and it's going to have a lot of towns within that, and then we're going to focus on specific areas of this line. So this is moving towards Abbeville 512, Norway 514, Kilmichael 514, the Elliott area 516, and Cedar Hill closer to 517. That's here in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. Eupora on that extended track, going to see that more in the next 30 minutes or so. But let's get into the specific areas that we need to be watching for, and one of those being down around Yazoo City. You can see as that's crossing Highway 3 right now, still getting some decent wind outputs of about let me get right there and populate in. We're still seeing about 20 to 30 miles an hour, but this is still way high up in the sky. So what's actually reaching the surface? It could be a little bit higher than that, about 30 to maybe even 40 miles an hour, but still not close to severe limits. But this is definitely one of the more interesting storms that can get close to our area. Not exactly an energetic storm, but about 20 strikes over the last 30 minutes. So at least a few rumbles of thunder not being ruled out completely. Speaking of, we do have that tracking into somewhat of Holmes County in the next few minutes. But Yazoo City right over the top of you, moving towards Bentonia. Let me extend this out about, we'll go 35 on it. And that's going to move closer to the Durant area. And there you see Yazoo City right now, the Renshaw area 517, Bentonia 521, Eden 526, and Merleville 528. We mentioned the Evans community 535, so that's going to continue to move in that east-northeast direction, inching closer and closer to Atala County. But let me start by saying this. We're looking at this in drastic detail. Is this a severe storm? No. Is this going to be a severe storm? Probably not, just because that's not been the setup that we've seen today. A lot of the more interesting storms have remained further towards the south. That one back there towards Waynesboro, definitely one to pay attention to with all of the lightning strikes associated with it. Lightning kind of telling us the maturity of these storms, and these storm tops are not overly high for what we have in North Mississippi. Those reds finally popping up on a storm around Yazoo City, but that's the most concerning part of this line, and it's not concerning whatsoever. So if we jump back towards our Monroe County radar site, you notice that we're just dealing with moderate showers all across the Mississippi Delta. So while that level 1 threat remains in place, that time frame for severe weather to occur is dwindling drastically. So a lot of folks in chat definitely saying like they're watching from here, watching from there. I will say for the entirety of North Mississippi, we're in very good shape for remaining clear of those severe weather threats. Knock on wood that continues to remain in place, but we do expect that to be what happens. So as we get back here off of analysis mode and into the rest of our show, those severe weather threats that we tracked yesterday, still not overly high. We've actually dropped those just a bit. So that tornado threat, not expecting any tornado threats overnight or into our evening plans. Hail threat remains very minimal as we got about half-inch hail returns, but more than likely whenever we get those half-inch hail returns, that reaching it all the way to the surface doesn't really verify. So we're not expecting any hail threats. If anything were to be produced, it's going to be those gusty winds and heavy rainfall. That's why winds just under that low threat and flash flooding concerns with that moderate rainfall, definitely a concern for folks out west in the Mississippi Delta, but even that threat on the lower side. So we're not overly high on those threats, and so that's a good thing with our forecast. I would say we've definitely dodged a bullet so far, and we're hopeful that that continues to remain the case. 5:30, there's your moderate rainfall still happening out in those same areas, hence why flash flooding was a little bit more concerning. But moving into that 7 o'clock hour, here's a look at those showers and storms that try to get into North Mississippi just a bit more towards the north. I mean, right along Highway 82 as of this point. So that's those showers that are currently towards Yazoo City As they move east-northeast, definitely could play a part in our viewing area, but still in the southernmost counties. As we push more into that 8, 9, and 10 o'clock hour, you can see how those showers and storms stick right along Highway 82 and towards those counties to the south. And some of those deeper reds and blacks that are showing up indicate that we do have some lift in the atmosphere that allows for some of that development to take place where these storms mature to possible severe storms. We're still tracking just strong storms mostly, not really severe, but the potential is still there for at least 1 or 2 severe storms. Those around the Columbus and West Point area closer to 9 o'clock, and even some out there towards Louisville as that continues to cycle on through. Now that activity transitions to Pickens and Lamar County there towards northwest Alabama by 10 before that threat carries out entirely into northern Alabama. But you might notice overnight that development that takes place about midnight, 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. I would not be surprised because there is still some energy that these storms can take advantage of that front might not fully take care of, and that redevelopment happening right along that front, so the lifting mechanism is there. Just how much energy is left there towards Hamilton and Alabama, that remains to be seen, but definitely something we're paying attention to overnight for the potential to produce some of those strong wind gusts and large hail as a result. That carrying off there towards North Alabama with the rest of the threat, and then we're going to be left with mostly dry conditions for our Thursday. And even though we will be seeing some showers, those showers are not close to severe limits. So low temperatures on your Thursday. Here's a look at that forecast. Upper 60s expected. This will be the last mild start to the day because a big driver in our forecast, this front, will clear on through and bring us much drier and cooler air as a result behind that front. So 7:30 in the morning, some of those isolated showers still popping up, but those shower chances are really pushed east with that cold front. So what's left here in North Mississippi is some of that wraparound moisture that we're seeing along that low pressure system, and those chances not overly high, but hopefully for some folks giving some supplemental moisture that we still so desperately need. 1:30, still seeing that scattered in fashion, and as we get towards that 3 and 4 o'clock hour, I mean, we're talking about 30% coverage in our peak coverage. We'll take it. It's just not going to be overly high, so a lot of folks more than likely going to be more disappointed than happy with that forecast. As we push into our Thursday evening, those chances continue to stick around, but with all the moisture in the atmosphere, we're not getting overly high temperature-wise. Only about low to mid-80s, with a few areas not surpassing the upper 70s around Senatobia, Oxford, Holly Springs, and New Albany. And as we get into the rest of our Thursday, it's just going to be a great sign of things going forward there towards our Friday and into our weekend as that front fully clears and gives us that drier forecast behind it. Here we're tracking Thursday night, and it is going to be those drier conditions and that northerly wind driving out that cloud cover as well. So Friday morning, starting with a sunny sky, should be a beautiful start to the day and bring in that cooler air as well. So even with those sunny skies, those temperatures not going to be overly high as a result. So those continue into those evening plans. Those dry conditions continue, and we'll be enjoying a perfect forecast for your Friday night football. If anything, a little bit cooler than what we've had the past couple of weeks. That's a great sign because I know it's been pretty hot the past couple of weeks that we've had here in North Mississippi. So dry conditions, sunny skies, but temperatures only reaching the low to mid 80s. That's the effect of the front. That's the effect of the wind shift, and that's going to be the great forecast and the great sign of temperatures moving forward. So getting back on what we're seeing tonight, before we get into that that level 1 threat still is in place for your Wednesday, and those primary threats continue to be those gusty winds and the flash flooding concern. The tornado and hail threat remains very low to practically nothing, especially for our tornado threat, but flash flooding a concern with that moderate rainfall out there in the Mississippi Delta. So as we take a look at the 7-day right here, we can see that scattered chances linger for your Thursday, isolated chances for your Friday morning. Honestly, those could be taken off here in the next hour or so as we continue with Mississippi Live weather. I would not be surprised of that because latest model run's not overly impressive, but we do know for sure Friday night staying dry, Saturday and Sunday staying dry. So your football forecast for college and high school looking phenomenal, and your Sunday forecast for church also looking phenomenal. If anything, you might need the long sleeves for church for Saturday or for Sunday morning and for Saturday morning heading out the door with around 58 degrees. Dry conditions persist into next week, so it is going to be a great outlook once we get past this evening and past those overnight hours. So looking in the chat, I would say that, we appreciate everyone that's tuned in and watching, but for everyone that's concerned about the weather overnight, have ways of receiving alerts. One of those ways was Weather Call that we talked about yesterday evening. Have that ready and downloaded so that way you can get those alerts when need be, because this isn't a threat that we need to be tracking 24/7. More than likely, we're not going to be dealing with those severe thunderstorm warnings. It might just be one area or none through the entirety of the night, and then you'll be disappointed you stayed up watching it. all night long. So it's best to just have those ways of receiving alerts. That way you can update you when you need that information, when it's affecting your area. And best way to do that is Weather Call, Mississippi Live Weather app, or anything of that matter to stay on top of those things. So we will have more information coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. Of course, have that app downloaded and ready to go with the latest on our radar that has live coverage from multiple radar sites all across North Mississippi, so you can stay informed. But we will have eyes on this behind the scenes here at Mississippi Live Weather, updating you as need be for any of that inclement development that is possible, but again, not very likely. Next broadcast happening, Mississippi Live Weather at 6, and our show after that will be at 10 p.m. tonight, walking through the latest on storm chances overnight, but not expecting much development as a large part of that threat clears out with that cold front as it moves through North Mississippi overnight. We'll see you guys here in about 40 minutes with the latest on that threat and walk through the latest on that forecast for your Wednesday evening.
Community is the way we find our strength and share our hope. It's the way dinner on the table brings a family closer together. It's the way we make sure his first chapter book is the first step on his path to greatness. It's the way we rally in hard times and rise back up stronger than ever. United is the way we come together so everyone can thrive. Join us at unitedway.org.